Bogs, good to have you back. Of course, the NBA Conference semi-finals, they've just wrapped up. But let's talk about NBL for a second, because I know your Sydney Kings, they've just won the title for the first time since 2005. That's the year you were drafted as well. So what does that mean for the club and the league and you personally? Are you happy?
Yeah, well, as you can see, the hat that I'm wearing, so it's my merchandise. But yeah, it's great. I mean, it's been a long time coming for the Sydney Kings. We were there in the grand final when I was still playing and fell short a couple of years ago. So to get that opportunity again is huge. A long time in the making, and the season, the past for us was the Sydney Kings. It was a roller coaster. We didn't start off well at all, had injuries, and then just went on a massive hot streak kind of mid to late year and carried that form into the finals and never looked back. We were 5-0 to sweep the finals, 2-0 in the semis and 3-0 on the granny. So huge for the Sydney Kings. We had an all-time record crowd, over 16,000 there on a Wednesday, rainy night in Sydney, mind you, which is huge. So the league, the club, is looking up. We have a lot of exciting announcements coming up with Sydney Kings as well in the next year or two. So there'll be a lot of things that people will be kind of shocked by what we're doing and what we're kind of working on. So really exciting time for the Sydney Kings and also the NBL.
Now let's get back to the NBA. Of course, the Celtics and the Heat, they've come through the East. Any surprises there for you? And what does that mean for the Bucks, of course, last year's champions, and the Sixers, who had that big trade with James Harden? What does that mean for them moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Milwaukee Bucks, obviously without Chris Middleton, just didn't have enough scoring to get through to the next round. They just couldn't. The Celtics had every answer for every run that they made, and Giannis, he did everything he could. They couldn't really get a second, third fiddle to him. Drew Holiday tried, but he shot awful clips for the series. And you got to give Boston credit. They looked down and out for a little bit. I mean, they dropped Game 5, and then anything could happen. But they steal that game on the road in Game 6. On the back of Jason Tatum hitting some phenomenal shots to keep them, with an 8-10 point buffer, and they win the series. So I don't think it was overly surprising. I had Boston picked at the start, and then I actually, when it was 2-2, I kind of jumped ship and said, I think I'm not going to doubt Giannis. I'm going to go back for 4-3 Milwaukee, which is pretty stupid. I should have stayed with my initial pick, but that one was a coin flip in my opinion. Could have went either way. And then you look at Miami and Philly. I think that went as expected with Joel Embiid out the first couple of games. I think most people predicted Miami would be favourites. I predicted 4-2 just based on Joel would come back mid-series, but I just thought it'd be too late, and it was. And then even with him, they didn't look like the same team. Harden didn't look like the James Harden of old. He's obviously getting, his age is getting up there. Tyrese Maxey's a great prospect for him, but they were never really in that series, in my opinion. It would have been interesting to see if Joel was healthy from day dot, how that went. But, credit to Miami. They just, Jimmy Butler continues to get it done, and they have a very well-balanced roster, both offensively and defensively. So on to the next round.
All right, let's look ahead to the Celtics taking on the Heat. Who do you think has the upper hand in this matchup? Who you liking, Jimmy Buckets or Jason Tatum?
It's a hard series to call. I think Boston, has a slight upper hand because I believe they have more offensive weapons. I think that Miami are more the nitty-gritty style, so it's going to be interesting. I think, Miami need Tyler Hero to come off the bench gunning and scoring for them to continue to be able to score at a high pace. They struggle when Hero gives them, less than 10, they struggle to score off, just because they don't have that third, fourth string scorer. I mean, Jimmy's going to get you his numbers. Bam's kind of not really a pure scorer. Whereas Boston have two in Brown and Tatum. And then, we see what Williams did in the last game against Milwaukee. He comes out and hits a boatload of three. So they've got, I think, a bit more offensive firepower, whereas I think Miami have more defensive firepower. So I think it's a coin flip. I think it'll go the distance. It's going to go 6 or 7 in my opinion. But stranger things have happened. This playoffs has been very hard to call. It's been enjoyable as a fan to watch these playoffs without a clear outline favourite. And I think this series is the epitome of that. I don't think there's a clear favourite in this series. I think you go either way.
Now let's chat about this. The big shock to see your pick to win it all, bowing out in 7 against the Mavericks. I don't think anyone thought Phoenix would go down in Game 7. Of course, Luka went off. So how have you seen the Western Conference Finals so far?
Yeah, very shocking. I mean, especially with Phoenix going up 2-0 emphatically the first 2 games. I don't think many people picked Dallas to come back in that, and they just grinded it out. They kept making sure that they jabbed back. They held home court, and then they put pressure back on the Suns in Game 7. They just faltered. Like, to see that scoreline in a Game 7. Usually it's the home team that wallops the road team, but to see that a visiting team just absolutely annihilate. The game was over at halftime, which is absolutely crazy. And I had Phoenix just based on them almost getting there. Arguably should have won last season. I felt like they had control of the series and they squandered it, and they did the same thing this series. So credit to the Mavs. I mean, they just continue to roll on. They have really good role players around Luka. I think Luka's the best. Probably the best player in the NBA right now, in my opinion. I mean, Jokic won the MVP. Giannis is still up there. Joel's still up there. But I think right now, current form, I mean, what he's doing in the playoffs is phenomenal. And they have pieces around him. Dinwiddie today, he was an X factor for me. I thought if he doesn't have a big game, I didn't think they'd win this Game 7. And he comes out and has 30, I believe. Their role players, Maxi Kleber, Finney Smith, even Brunson for him. I mean, they've just got a lot of guys that play well off Luka. And the only concern you have with the Mavs is if Luka has that odd bad shooting night where he doesn't score the ball, do they have enough scoring to now obviously get through to the next round into the finals against Golden State? So it will be very interesting.
Well, let's look ahead to the matchup because, of course, Golden State taking on Dallas, your boys. They're looking really good. Can Dallas challenge in the conference title?
I think it's a pretty good matchup. I think I'm going to go with Golden State just based on championship merit. They've been in these situations before. We see what they did after getting beaten by 40 to come out and close the series out in a professional manner. I think, the Mavs definitely had their opportunities, but I think, Golden State have multiple defenders they're going to throw at Luka. It's going to be, Wiggins is going to get a chance. Clay's going to get a chance. Draymond's going to get switched on to him a few times. They'll have some schemes to try and get the ball out of his hands, I believe, and make other guys beat him, especially early in the series. And I just think, I think that championship merit of them being there before, even if they're down in a series, it never seems like they're out of it. So I can't go against Golden State. I think they're going to get through, but I think it will go 6 or 7. I think it's going to go the distance as well. Stopping Luke is easier said than done. Phoenix supposedly had great defenders. Mikal Bridges was up there as Defensive Player of the Year in the running, and I think that that tag might be gone now forever for him, considering what Luka did. So, gonna be a tough game. I think the championship merit of the Warriors will get it done.
All right, let's talk about the Beat Bogut Challenge. It's been up and running with a seeding round completed. How have you gone personally, and any ideas who you'd like to match up with in the knockout stages?
Yeah, the Beat Bogut's been up and running. I've been getting a lot of banter back and forth about some of my picks, and I like to say the first couple of rounds have been my learner phase, so not a whole lot of success. A lot of near misses with one leg bombing out. And obviously betting on games that end up being blowouts are really, never in your favor as a bettor, especially if you're doing the unders or the overs and things like that. So it's going well. I know there's a couple other experts who are kind of trying to take the mantle off me, but I'm looking forward to, to the conference finals and the finals. And I know double experts, NBA Prodigy and Brandy Balls seem pretty sharp and right up there, and they've got their neck in front of me right now with their picks. And I also heard Tommy Sherridan wanted to rename the competition Tip Against Tommy after he got one right in the first week.
And I hit a $29 multi yesterday, mate. So I reckon they should change it to Beat Bogut to Tip Like Tommy, because I'm on fire, mate.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So we'll see how we go the next couple of rounds.
Bogues, you're an absolute legend. Always a pleasure to chat. Any final words?
Yeah, look out for the Beat Bogut, the hashtag Beat Bogut on Dabble in the bet descriptions, and follow along to follow how we're all tipping and how we're all tracking. If you see something you like, you can obviously copy bet that with one click. That's the whole point of what we're doing and the beauty of our app. You don't have to then go to your bet slip and spend 15 minutes trying to find all the crazy bets I've put out there. So you can just share it straight to your profile, and it's been fun so far. So we'll see who comes out on top. And I believe Heath Shaw is talking a little smack. He's cracked 50K followers on the app there. So make sure you give me a follow. I think I'm a few hundred behind him. I did join the app much later, so I have an out, Heath. So don't get too high on that horse of yours. I've got some time to catch up, but appreciate everyone out there. If you give us a follow, tell me how good or bad my tips have been, and banter a little bit, and we'll enjoy it.